Okay, before you buy Atomic Heart, I'm interested in that game, so we're gonna do with that.
Hey,
Alright.
we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our
Okay.
first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Atomic Heart. Now, we've been anticipating this one for years now. It started out as a small, kind of strange, weird looking project and eventually ballooned into this full-fledged game we have here today. This is going to be an interesting video. I came away enjoying playing through Atomic Heart, but almost every aspect of it is flawed. For everything I enjoyed in the game, I also have something to criticize. I just want to be upfront because I still ultimately enjoyed the game, but I have way more to say about some of the issues. If you're the type of person that expects absolute perfection from their games, you read and watch
There's a bike
every
in that
review, you know about game criticism, you know what you want a game to do and what not to do, then yeah, man, Atomic Heart is a rough game. But it's an ambitious and unique enough one that if you can forgive some flaws, you'll end up getting to play through something that's just different.
That's really
it's
pretty.
a new, fresh thing. It's a bit busted, but it's cool.
It's a
Just
bit
keep your
busted.
expectations in check. I don't know, guys. With this
man.
one, I feel like the SpongeBob meme with Patrick being shown his picture, and you're just telling me all the bad things about the game, and I'm like, yep. But then if you ask me if I still enjoy it, I did. Not the game of the year or anything, but hey, I've gone on too long, so let's just get into it. And of
Alright.
course,
This
the
is
usual
interesting.
deal here, you know the drill. The review copy we've been playing, all this footage, it's on PC, and this is going to be a spoiler-free video. Now, let's start off with the best thing about Atomic Heart. It's the world they built. Not the open world, but just the concept. This alternate future Russia where the Soviet Union ends up having technological breakthroughs that make them the world's superpower. So robotics are the norm,
That's
and
so
you get
pretty.
a glance at a seemingly utopian society. But of course, something is amiss under the surface. Everyone is comparing this game to BioShock, and yeah, it definitely does the thing where it takes some of the big ideas of what this place was supposed to be and how it could work out great on paper, but of course, someone or something will always screw everything up. It didn't glorify anything here, to me. You can read into the concepts of communism, artificial intelligence, and science, and I think you can extrapolate some pretty interesting things from it. These high concepts aren't always in your face, but they're fun to dive into here and there through the game's audio logs, the computer screens, and really just reading between the lines throughout the story as it goes. Really, it's a lot more to me. I know people are comparing it to BioShock a lot. To me, it's a lot more in tone and vibe as like the new modern Wolfenstein games. It takes an old European power and goes alternate history and ramps it
that's
up to like
weird.
batshit crazy mode, which I think is far flung and interesting enough. So in the game, right at the dawn of this new technological breakthrough for the whole society, shit goes down and you're tossed into this big, I think it's like a military base area. It's miles of land with
He's a DJ
underground
robot.
bunkers, labs, houses,
Hazel.
museums, nature, and more. Unfortunately,
Oh, yeah.
all the robots that
Where
have
did the
been
video
taking
go?
care of society have gone crazy. And now it's up to you, Agent P3, who's like a veteran soldier with amnesia, of course, to get to the bottom of it all. It's a kind of linear adventure with wide open space between dungeons. You can explore and find loot and weapon upgrades, but the main focus is mostly on getting to the next interior and making your way through some good
Oh.
old-fashioned video game adventuring. Presentation-wise, I actually would have preferred if this game had a silent protagonist. Maybe something was lost in literal translation here, but the writing and voice acting is rough, borderline hurting the experience. The main character, he's just a
Damn.
cringe lord. Okay, so like imagine the
I
big
use the
moment
word cringe lord. What?
in the beginning of
He's a
BioShock.
borderline
You
cringe
find
lord.
the lighthouse, you take the plunge down into Rapture, and the music swells,
Oh,
and you see it
jeez.
all for the first time, and it's eerie and beautiful, but Jack goes, huh, ain't this some shit? That is what playing Atomic Heart is like as this guy. He's just an abrasive, annoying character. He softens
That's
a
a
bit
hand.
towards the second half, but it's still all almost laughably embarrassing. There is one good bit involving a train ticket, though, I'll say that. That and a few other moments landed, but overall, the rest of the dialogue isn't much better, but the overall story is intriguing at least. It doesn't totally stick it, and it relies a lot on your artificial intelligence just kind of telling you things as you walk around, making it kind of messy. but the cutscenes are often interesting and there are some cool moments at least. I wanted to see what happened next more out of curiosity than it being deeply compelling or anything, but it kept me going. Combat is alright. It
Oh,
kind of finds
jeez.
itself right in the middle. It's a mix of first-person melee and first-person shooting, where you need to mix in both at times, and certain enemies are weaker to different things. Melee, like many first-person melee games, is kind of rough. You have a regular attack and a special customizable heavier attack, as well as a kind of dash dodge that works pretty good. The issue is that the hits don't feel that good. It's a lot of mindless swinging, and although the animations of enemies getting hit and the damage looks kind of cool, it doesn't feel satisfying whacking away. I've played worse, definitely. Like, it's not bad, but considering you do melee a good amount, I wish it felt better. The first-person shooting is a bit better, though. It's easy to control, it's pretty straightforward stuff with ADS and sometimes alternate fire modes, and it varies from weapon to weapon, really. Like, the shock pistol is useful, but it doesn't feel satisfying. But the shotgun is good, the Fat Boy rocket launcher thing is solid, the AK-47 is really good. The shooting works, and it feels way better than melee in most instances. Also, the reload animations are cool. You also have special abilities, starting with an all-purpose shock blast on a cooldown to zap enemies and things in the environment, and then you can map 2 others that you can swap on the fly to use, like freezing enemies or covering them with explosive fuel, telekinesis,
This guy looks
shield,
really cool.
and more. Now, this leads to an element of the game I really like, the way the crafting and weapon and ability upgrades works. It's pretty straightforward stuff. It's nothing revolutionary, but just implemented in a satisfying way. Oh, and first off, just a little thing really creative of them, since you have like the powers glove for everything, one of its uses is to loot for materials. So instead of just manually clicking on every drawer and box and cabinet to manually get crafting materials and ammo, I'm looking at tons of other games. All you gotta do is hold a button and kind of wave your hand past stuff, and your hand kind of sucks up all the materials via telekinesis. It's really cool, and makes like the endless drudgery of looting in so many games actually kind of fun and satisfying here. I love it. It's a small thing, but it's little things like that that the game has sometimes that I really like. So anyway, you take all this stuff back to vendor machines to spend. You can craft new weapons, and you can craft... To make them really good, you have to spend way more. The game...
Yeah, I figured.
Crash test dummy looking dudes are just awkward and not really very fun to fight. They start off very creepy and unsettling, but after an hour of fighting them, they're just annoying. But again, I really like openish world is where you can run around, explore, fight enemies, maybe even grab a car, and just get around. Exploring the open world is vital to find these blueprints to get better weapon upgrades, but that's really it. No open world gimmicks really, or endless side quests, just kind of a small, simple reason to get out there, and I don't mind that. But the way this is implemented, you're gonna find it either simple and satisfying, or boring. I found it a bit annoying because the game has an alert system, which you can sort of disable with some work, but there are security cameras and flying cameras like every 5 feet, and enemies almost everywhere, so you don't really have a lot of time to breathe. And there's no solid indicator on like when or how far enemies can see you. Like, the rules aren't set like a stealth game or even a game with a detection system. This gameplay-wise are a bit undercooked. Also, it is a god-awful map system, like unintuitive and almost useless. Adventuring inside through kind of story dungeons are fun. They're usually paced well and they're pretty lengthy. A lot of it feels kind of like a Half-Life style adventure. You know, you're working your way deeper into increasingly dangerous places, solving weird puzzles to get by. I don't want to compare it to Half-Life. It is nowhere near as good as Half-Life, but it just kind of like came to mind. And all of these places are completely unique and cool to see, and when there are surprises, they're actually pretty good. The game is unfortunately dragged down with some tedium, though. Like, a lot of things you need to accomplish require you doing an extra pad out and artificially lengthen the experience.
I mean, those kind of puzzles. Okay.
This is a commendable first outing. Atomic Heart is a mess, but it's a charming mess. And if you're...
It's a charming mess is what you'd call it. Okay. Fair. Fair. I can see that. I was wondering, because I've been seeing that game recently, just people playing it, and it enticed me. I just didn't know if I wanted to play it or not. Didn't know if it was for me to play.